Have you ever been at a family gathering when your aunt leans over and asks when you're finally going to stop throwing money away on rent and buy a real home? You know the lecture that's coming. She's about to tell you how she bought her house in 1987 for $89,000 and it's worth $450,000 today. How renting is just making your landlord rich, how you're missing out on the American dream. And here's the thing that really gets me. She genuinely believes she's giving you good advice. She thinks she's helping. But what if I told you that for most Americans today, buying a home is actually the single biggest wealth destroyer they'll ever encounter? What if the math shows that 70% of people would build significantly more wealth by renting and investing the difference? So what's going on here? How did home ownership go from being the cornerstone of wealth building to a financial trap that's keeping millions of families stuck in place? My name is Finn, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the financial advice that worked for our parents is quietly bankrupting their children. If you've ever wondered whether you should buy a house or if you're making a huge mistake by renting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Before we dive into the math that nobody wants to talk about, let me be clear about something. I'm not saying home ownership is always bad. I'm not saying you should never buy a house. What I am saying is that the conventional wisdom around buying versus renting is based on outdated assumptions and incomplete calculations. And when you actually run the real numbers, most people are shocked at what they find. Let's start with the obvious question. What does a house actually cost? Because when I tell people the true cost of homeownership, they usually think I'm making it up or being intentionally misleading. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median home price in America is now $410,000. That's not for a mansion or some luxury property. That's the median. Half of all homes cost more than this. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people think about the purchase price and maybe the mortgage payment. They stop there. That's the first mistake. Let's say you buy that $410,000 house with the standard 20% down payment. That's $82,000 up front, money you'll never see again unless you sell. You take out a mortgage for $328,000 at, let's say, 7% interest, which is about where rates are today. Your monthly payment is around $2,180 just for principal and interest, but we're not done. Add property taxes, which average about $3,500 per year nationally. That's another $290 per month. Homeowners insurance runs about $1,800 annually, or $150 per month. And if you're in a condo or HOA, add another $200 to $400 monthly. Suddenly, your $2,180 mortgage payment has become $2,820 to $3,020 per month. And we still haven't talked about maintenance. The general rule is to budget 1 to 2% of your home's value annually for maintenance and repairs. On a $410,000 house, that's $4,100 to $8,200 per year, or $340 to $680 per month. Let's split the difference and call it $500. Now you're at $3,320 to $3,520 per month in total housing costs. Over 30 years, we're talking about paying over $1.2 million for that $410,000 house. And that's assuming nothing major goes wrong and you never renovate the kitchen or replace the roof. So how are people affording this? The median household income in America is about $74,000. After taxes, that's roughly $55,000 in take-home pay, or about $4,600 per month. If you're spending $3,500 monthly on housing, that's 76% of your take-home income. Financial experts recommend spending no more than 28% of gross income on housing. These buyers are spending nearly triple that percentage of their net income. But here's what most people don't think about when they're sitting in that real estate agent's office being told that renting is throwing money away. Let's run the alternative scenario. What if instead of buying, you rented a comparable place for $2,200 per month and invested the difference? Stay with me on this because the math is going to blow your mind. You're saving $82,000 by not making a down payment. You're saving about $1,300 per month by not paying all those ownership costs. That's $1,300 you can invest every single month.
If you invest that $82,000 down payment plus $1,300 monthly in a simple index fund, earning the historical market average of 10% annually, after 30 years, you'd have approximately $3.2 million. $3.2 million versus owning a house that might be worth $800,000 if you're lucky and appreciation continues at historical rates.
But wait, you're probably thinking, Finn,
What about the equity I'm building by paying down the mortgage? Okay, let's talk about equity, because this is where the illusion really falls apart. In the first decade of a 30-year mortgage, you're paying mostly interest, not principal. After 10 years of making that $2,180 payment, you've paid $261,600 total, but you've only paid down about $57,000 of principal. The other $204,600 went to interest. You essentially rented money from the bank at $1,700 per month. And here's the psychological trap that makes this so hard for people to accept. Home ownership has been marketed to Americans for over a century as the foundation of wealth building. The government subsidizes it through mortgage interest deductions. Real estate agents make their living promoting it. Your parents and grandparents swear by it. The entire cultural narrative says that homeowners are responsible adults and renters are just kids who haven't grown up yet. But that narrative was built in a different economic era. When your aunt bought her house in 1987, median home prices were about 2.7 times median household income. Today, they're over 5.5 times median household income. The math has fundamentally changed, but the advice hasn't. We're following a playbook from a game that doesn't exist anymore.
there's a concept called opportunity cost that nobody talks about when they're pushing home ownership. Every dollar you spend on mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, and all the other costs of ownership is a dollar you're not investing in the stock market. Over 30 years, the compound growth you're missing out on is staggering. That money sitting in your house as equity is earning maybe 3 to 4% annually through appreciation. Meanwhile, that same money invested in index funds would be earning 10%. The difference compounds to millions over time. Think about it this way. Your house doesn't pay you dividends. It doesn't generate income. It just sits there while you pay for it and maintain it. It's not an investment. It's an expense with a potential future payoff that might not even beat inflation when you factor in all the costs. And unlike stocks, you can't sell 5% of your house if you need some cash. You're locked in until you sell the whole thing, which comes with its own massive costs. Realtor commissions alone are typically 5 to 6% of the sale price. On a $410,000 house, that's $20,000 to $25,000 just to get out. So here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop thinking about your house as an investment. If you want to buy a home because you love the location, because you want stability, because you want to paint the walls whatever color you want, that's fine. Those are lifestyle choices, and they're valid. But don't lie to yourself and call it wealth building. For most Americans, given current prices and current interest rates, renting and investing the difference will build significantly more wealth over time. Here's the actionable framework. Calculate your total cost of ownership honestly, not just the mortgage payment, everything. Then find a rental that meets your needs and compare the monthly cost. Take whatever you save monthly, plus that down payment you're not spending, and invest it systematically in low-cost index funds. Track both scenarios over time. Run the numbers yourself. Don't take my word for it, and don't take your aunt's word for it either. The families who are actually building wealth in today's housing market aren't the ones stretching to buy a house they can barely afford because society told them to. They're the ones who've refused to let their expenses expand to consume their income. They're the renters who are saving 30, 40, even 50% of their take-home pay. They're investing that money where it can actually grow, and in 20 years, they'll have options that the house-poor family next door will never have. Now you know. The question is what you're going to do about it. You can run the math for yourself and make a decision based on numbers, not nostalgia. You deserve better than spending 30 years paying off a mortgage, only to realize you could have been a millionaire multiple times over.